Came here in 1986 to run it for myself in October. I signed the papers and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and more importantly, can resonate with people and actually to some extent help people. That's pretty rewarding. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
Good evening. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. If anybody would like an agenda, they're in the plastic sleeve on the back wall by the map. And before we get started, I will ask Chairman Soul to please stand and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Something that is not on the agenda but should be is I actually have a proclamation for a vigil that I believe is tomorrow night at 5:30 on the steps of City Hall. And this is to declare April Child Abuse, Neglect, and Prevention Month. And so I'll start by reading this proclamation. Whereas every child is precious and deserves to grow up in a healthy, safe, nurturing environment, free from the threats, dangers, and harmful effects of child abuse and neglect. And whereas child abuse occurs at every socioeconomic level across ethnic and cultural lines within all religions and at all levels of education. And whereas child abuse and neglect impacts our entire society and can cause traumatic, psychological, emotional, and physical harm, which can lead to detrimental behaviors and mental and physical illnesses as children and into adulthood. And whereas child abuse is a community problem, and finding solutions depends on the involvement of people throughout the community, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, religious organizations, business, and law enforcement agencies. And whereas youth serving prevention programs offer positive alternatives for young people and encourage youth to develop strong ties to their community. And whereas all residents should become more aware of child abuse and its prevention and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment. Now therefore I, Nicholas Isgrow, Mayor of Waterville, on behalf of the City Council, hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month, and urge all residents to dedicate themselves to the task of improving the quality of life for our children. And so that is. Next up is community notes, which is a time where people have something they want to say or speak about that is not on the agenda for tonight. Now would be the time to say it. But I know we have a special guest here, Norm Hart, and it looks like some of your fellow members of the Lions Club want to come and speak to us tonight. It looks like you picked a good night to come and talk about the Waterville Lions Club.
Where is everybody?
They're all here.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. I am Norm Hart. I'm with the Lions Clubs here in Maine. I'm the district governor. And I did make a presentation to the council on March 21st, 2017. So just over a year ago, I was here letting everybody know that we were forming a new Lions Club in Waterville. And so basically I'm back to give you an annual update, if you will. Since that time, Lions basically are around the world, 1.4 million Lions, serving the local communities, everything from vision, pediatric cancer, diabetes, and many, many other functions that we perform. And so basically we have formed a new Lions Club here in Waterville. There was one here for 84 years, but that one disbanded in 2007. So now we have a new club that's just started up, and we have our new club members back here. And so we have 8 new members, and we're looking to get to 20. And basically that's where everybody comes in. We need help. We need people that are community-minded, that want to help and give back to the community. We know that there are people all around us that have specific needs, and sometimes those needs are not met, and that's where the Lions can maybe fill that gap. So basically, Lions are forming, and we are accepting applications. There are people in the back. We have our president, Tom DeShane, our secretary, Jill Heward, and our treasurer, Janet Bard, and other members. They are all available for people to talk to, and you can reach out to them. I have given out some brochures up front that has their contact information. It's not going to help you a lot. Everybody out there, I'd like to actually give that out. I don't know if anybody has anything to write with, so maybe that won't work.
And you
But
do have a Facebook page as well.
There is a
Waterville.
Facebook page. There is a Waterville Lions. You can go on to Waterville, Maine, or ME, Waterville ME Lions .com. And you can get more information about the Waterville Lions and send an email to them. So basically, we are in 71 clubs throughout the state, and we are looking to have this 72nd one fully formed. Right now, we call it a branch club of our Skowhegan Lions Club. And I guess I'd open it up. Does anybody have any questions about the Lions or what we're looking to do?
Norm, just so everyone knows, what time and where do you have regular meetings?
Yeah, great question. The meetings are held actually on the second and fourth Mondays of every month. They are at 5 p.m.
5 to 6:30 at the Maine Children's Home Escalent Community Center at 93 Silver Street in Waterville.
So they are meeting regularly. They have had one fundraiser so far because Lions raise money. We get out there, roll up our sleeves, and do fundraising from chicken barbecues, golf tournaments, many other fundraisers. The local Lions Club actually partnered with the Proper Pig and actually had a fundraiser there. And they also, as a service to the community, went caroling through various nursing homes in the area. But they want to do so much more. But it takes more hands, more bodies, so that's where we're looking for more people to step up, join the Lions, and you won't regret it. It is the world's largest service organization, 1.4 million Lions, as I said. 46,000 communities around the world have a fully functioning Lions Club, and we really want to see that happening here in Waterville.
Great. Thank you so much for your efforts. All right, we'll continue with community notes. Again, this is if you are here to speak about something that is not on our agenda already tonight, now would be the time to do that. And we just ask you to come and let us know who you are and where you live. But I know who you are because I invited you, so
Yes.
come on up.
I'm Deb Vermette from St. Albans.
And I'm Sylvie Boisvert from Hallowell.
Kathy Chamberlain's Monroe.
We're here tonight to see if we could ask for a special committee to look at the ordinances for the food truck in Waterville.
Yeah, so we had a conversation recently. Waterville, as you know, is obviously a community that's growing currently, and we're going through some of the bumps and bruises of those growing pains, and one of that is we don't have a lot of experience with food trucks, and because of that, we have ordinances that probably are not consistent necessarily for the best path of success for both business persons operating food trucks as well as for the city as well. And what we had talked was hopefully having the council approve or move to make some kind of committee, or I don't know if it comes back at the next meeting if you want to talk about it among yourselves, and someone can sponsor that. That would involve obviously the city council, but also you know, some people in the business, and I know Garvin at the Growth Council is very up to snuff and has drafts of successful ordinances from cities that regularly deal with food trucks as well. It would probably be a wonderful person to have on that committee. Is there a city council, or does the council feel like that's something we can do to really get something that's applicable to the city, and rather than just keep having it drafted behind the scenes?
Do you want me to make a motion? I'll make a motion
My
to,
question is, why wasn't this brought up when we passed the ordinance about food trucks?
Because we didn't know about it.
So
We came here that night thinking that we were gonna talk about, the food truck ordinance, to find out that it was being voted on and passed that particular night, and we didn't have copies of what you were actually passing. We couldn't get our hands on that. So we did go out and go to other cities that have ordinances so that we can, and got copies of those so that we can have them available for hopefully a committee meeting so that we can talk about it and look at how other cities have implemented this.
Well, I was also, so we did talk about it a little bit when we were here. Part of it got read to us. We had gone and seen the original and came in hopes to discuss, thinking it would be draft after that meeting, and so it was there. I think having a committee would help to alleviate some concerns too that the city might have about what the food trucks actually want to do. Like Stone Fox Farm Creamery, for example, we've been coming to Waterville Farmers Market for many years and don't necessarily want to be competing with any Waterville businesses, but we have a sense of the things that we'd like to do in Waterville, so I think it would make sense to have a conversation to alleviate both sides' concerns as well.
And I think there was some confusion that night too about even where some of the district lines were drawn. Like I think that night it was said that Hathaway wasn't part of the downtown district, but then when someone got a permit, it actually was part of the downtown district, and just to smooth out some of those.
Right, and there's just some language in there that does, I mean, one of the particular ones says, no mobile food vendor will stop for more than 30 minutes in a 3-hour period in the same general area. But when I talked to the city clerks, they said, oh, well, that only applies for ice cream trucks that are going in subdivisions and housing projects, but that's not what this says. So technically, we would be in violation of this ordinance if we sat someplace for more than 3 hours and didn't move. So it's just some of the language just needs to be cleared up. I don't think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
so I don't mind making a motion to establish or talk about establishing a committee to look into this.
Okay.
If it involves food, I'll be there.
Yeah, you can bring it.
All right, all in favor of that? Okay, great, thank you guys for coming. And
So do we come see you or send you an email?
Mike, will you be the person that would be in touch with them? You want to give contact information to Mike so he has it, and
Okay, sure.
all right, we continue on with community notes. If there's anybody else for community notes, come on up.
John Dalton, Inland Hospital. Dying from a cold this evening, I apologize. I want to tell you about something exciting that's going on. 1 in 5 women, and actually 1 in 10 men, suffer or experience perinatal mood disorders, postpartum depression, psychosis, suicide. And until last fall, there was not a single support service in the state of Maine. The only one that existed had been in Portland, and it got closed down. And 4 passionate and very brave women at our organization started a program that meets every Tuesday at 10 o'clock for women who are experiencing, and men, who are experiencing sadness, depression, other symptoms. The quickest story I can tell you is the young couple whose child had been taken away from them because it was so serious, and they have been reunited with their baby. So that's when you know it's working.
Thank you, John. Is there anybody else for community notes?
I got something.
Oh, yes.
First of all, I want to thank the council and the mayor for the good work that you do throughout the year. And I know many decisions you make, half the people are very excited, and the other half not quite so excited. So thank you.
It's an understatement.
It's not the only reason I'm here, but it was something that. So my name is Bruce White, and I do see a lot of familiar faces here this evening. As many of you already know, I am a Democratic candidate as a Maine representative in District 109. I was born and raised in Waterville, and this has been the wonderful community in which my wife and I chose to raise our 2 children as well. I believe I can make a difference for our city in the Maine House of Representatives, and I commit to working across party lines to make our city and state stronger. I currently serve on a number of boards and committees, including the Waterville Planning Board, the New Dimensions Federal Credit Union Board of Directors, the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce, the Inland Hospital Patient and Family Advisory Committee, and the Mid-Maine Technical Center. Currently serving with these institutions, as well as past service with other organizations, has given me vital knowledge and experience, which will help me to represent the people of Waterville. I hope you will support me with your vote in the primary on June 12th. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to a disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there anybody on the city council who feels they have a conflict of interest with any of the votes they will take tonight? That would be no. Next, approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda? All in favor? Unfinished business, order 54, 2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call, Patty?
Counselor Stoll?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Lessing?
Yes.
Counselor Mayu?
Yes.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor DuPont?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
New business, resolution 56, 2018.
A resolution providing for appointment of election clerks. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that in accordance with Title 21A of Maine Revised Statutes Annotated, Section 503, and Article 10, Section 6 of the City Charter, the City Council hereby authorize the appointment of election clerks as detailed on the attached list. Appointments will be for a term of 2 years.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Next is resolution 57, 2018.
A resolution providing for issuance of a victor's license to Colby Danforth, doing business as Sonny's Diner. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council, acting as municipal officers, that the City Council hereby authorize the issuance of a victor's license to Colby Danforth, doing business as Sonny's Diner at 134 Kennedy Memorial Drive.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor? Next, resolution 58, 2018.
A resolution providing for renewal of a special amusement license to Charles Jiggier, doing business as Silver Street Tavern.
Move.
Ba, 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 ba.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Fiona.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that
I
the City
wasn't
Council
following
hereby
along.
authorize the renewal of a special amusement license to Charles Jiggier, doing business as Silver Street Tavern, 2 Silver Street. Be it further resolved that approval from code enforcement and fire department, along with all outstanding personal property taxes, be paid as a condition for license to be issued.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Next is order 59, 2018.
Move to adopt.
How about a motion to read by title only? Oh, summary.
An order providing for appropriation for a Riverwalk project. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council, acting as municipal officers as follows. That a sum not to exceed $300,000 be appropriated from the downtown TIF account and from the student apartment complex TIF account over a 3-year period in increments of $100,000 per year. Should property at Header Falls be sold for development, it is understood that said revenue would replace TIF funds, providing the total amount contributed be $300,000 in the 3-year period beginning July 1, 2018.
Move to adopt.
Second.
And Mike, we're well on our way to getting those properties to market. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. Yep, we have a plan laid out. So we're going to place that property in the hands of a realtor by the end of June. I think it'll be sooner than that.
Okay.
So I think this project certainly does present the opportunity that we can develop some of the land there at Head of Falls beside the Riverwalk project.
And city engineer Nick Champagne's been working on that, is that correct?
Yeah, oh yes, he is, definitely.
Great.
Yep. I put two pieces of information in front of you tonight. One is the listing of all the donations that we've received to date. The total, you can see on the back page of this sheet, is $976,000. So our goal is 1.5 million. If the council so agrees tonight to appropriate 300,000 for this project, then we'll be at 1.2 million, 1.276, which leaves 223,000 or so to go. We believe we're going to make it with a fundraising campaign. The other sheet I've placed in front of you is a summary. I do have some extra copies here. I'm sorry I don't have enough for everyone, but I have some extras here on the table if anybody wants to come and grab one. I'll leave them there. The other sheet is a summary of what the expenses are expected to be and what the revenues are. I'm happy to answer any questions. We've talked about this project many, many times, but I realize people in the audience may not have had that opportunity, so if the council has questions.
And Mike, do we still have businesses out there that we haven't heard from but might be potential donors?
We do.
Good.
Right. There are some that we believe are going to contribute and further reduce that 223,000 balance down. We got a donation this afternoon of 25,000 from a local business.
And Mike, just because there's a lot of folks here who haven't been at some of the discussions, part of the contingency that we had made for making this TIF available for this was that those properties will finally, after all these years, be actually put to market and sold. And most likely, I'm guessing they're going to make a lot more than what that 300,000 is. But that extra money will not go back into the project. That will go.
Offset the 300 that the city is hopefully going to.
And those are taxable properties.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the land has been vacant since the end of urban renewal, so for those people that don't remember back that far, basically the Head of Falls area was cleared of all buildings, mill buildings and residential buildings by the early 1970s. So I think it's been easily 45 years since anything has happened there.
But the city did put about $1 million of infrastructure in the ground there about 10 years ago?
Right. 2004, 2005, water, sewer, electricity were installed with the hope that some development would happen back then. So the city spent almost $1 million with water, sewer, electricity, a parking lot, lights. That's actually just before I got here. And of course, we know what happened in 2008 with the economy. The city went out to bid 2 or 3 times to try to find developers for the site. We were not successful. I believe very, very strongly that with everything going on in the downtown, with the project along the river, it's a much different picture than it was back 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
Is there any discussion among the council or questions from the council?
Yeah, a couple comments. Okay. Being a member of the Riverwalk Advisory Committee, I humbly ask all the city councils to seriously consider the appropriations to come from our downtown TIF to help support the Head of Falls Riverwalk project. I mean, this is something, as the city manager has stated, the infrastructure is there. The potential is there for some massive economic windfall, I believe. That's going to come with the downtown revitalization going on with the help of Colby College. I feel that this is going to enhance and enrich it to new heights unimaginable from a cultural, educational, and recreational standpoint, and most importantly from an economic one, and being able to captivate a scenic area of our community that will become an inherent destination of choice not only for the local and regional populations but the region as a whole. I believe Waterville will become a destination of choice for tourists. for this project once it gets underway and it comes to its culmination. I highly commend the organizers of this concept. I know that Mike Roy has been, this is really something that's dear to his heart, and has been, as well as others, this area is a primetime real estate area that is going to be a bustling place with a lot of activity in it. I believe it's a magnet for meaningful involvement, interaction, and participation of residents and non-residents on a far greater scale. With one-of-a-kind 2-cent toll bridge as its anchor and the connection to Kennebec-Messalonsky Trail System in tow, this area is destined to become a really supplementary local income flow to our local economy that will help it find itself to be self-sustaining. With aggressive marketing of the city-owned real estate in front of the Riverwalk, the best interests of a strategic plan to include the Head of Falls as a worthy contributing factor to our prosperity as a community is substantially encouraged. So I really believe you know, this area, once we aggressively market it and we incur some real good taxable growth there, I really believe it will help with our ever-revolving tax mill rate and with the overall health of the city as a whole. So I just definitely urge for this appropriation to happen.
Any other questions or comments from the council? All right, we will open it up for public commentary or questions if you just come up to the podium. You do, I'm sorry, Sandy. We need to just hang mics from the ceiling.
The only question I have is, once there's development down there and we have actual buildings paying taxes down there, does the tax dollars go into the downtown TIF or into the actual tax base?
I believe that goes to the downtown TIF.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any choice on that because the Head of Falls area was within the boundaries of the TIF.
So it's still not going to help us with school systems and...
Right, as we said at the last meeting, TIF money can only be used for certain things, can't be used for other things.
It can be used for fixing that concourse so people can drive through it and park it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor? Okay, so that's unanimous. Next is Resolution 60, 2018.
A resolution providing for a bid award for a Riverwalk project. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows, that the low bid submitted by Gordon Contracting Incorporated be accepted in the amount of $1,188,335 for the Riverwalk project. Be it further resolved that the city manager be authorized to issue a notice to proceed and to execute the construction contract on the city's behalf with Gordon Contracting.
Move to adopt.
Second.
As you can see in the summary on your resolution, we got 2 bids. We feel very, very confident about the bid from Gordon Contracting. Matter of fact, they have a representative here tonight. But in talking with them a number of times, we're very confident that they have the expertise to finish this job. I think they're very anxious to work in Central Maine.
Very exciting.
They're currently based in Sangerville, right? But they've done work all over the state, but not in Central Maine, so this is their first opportunity to do a project, and all of us that have been involved have been impressed with what we've seen and heard from them.
What's the estimated start time on the project?
Like,
The day I get the notice of award, we're ready to go.
Okay,
Trucks are ready.
all right.
and you're hoping for July?
My boss is.
Yeah, okay.
Which means I am too.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All those in favor? Next is Order 61, 2018.
An order providing for acceptance of donations for the Riverwalk project. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows, that the city hereby accepts the donations shown on the attached sheet for the Riverwalk project at Head of Falls and be it further ordered that the city manager is hereby authorized to expend said funds for the purpose of completing the Riverwalk project.
Move to adopt.
Second.
The reason this is on your agenda is, as the city receives donations, we can't spend them unless the council approves first. And so, you see that two-page, well, single sheet, but two-sided page listing all donations. Again, the total to date is $976,720, almost $977,000. So with your approval on this item, we can take this money and apply it to the construction contract, which you just approved, and which we'll sign, I hope, by the end of the week.
Any discussion or questions? From the public? All in favor? Ordinance 62, 2018.
An ordinance providing for sex offender registry restriction. Be it enacted by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the attached sex offender registry ordinance be adopted as provided for in state law.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, Nathaniel, do you want to just lead on this and give a summary of what this is?
Andrew Ayers, who's here today, asked me to sponsor an ordinance like Augusta and other cities have established. The state law gave the towns and municipalities basically the authority to restrict a barrier up to 750 feet from schools, parks, really any public place that a child is the main user. So North Street Park, Hall School, you know. So I worked with a small committee, Sydney and Jackie, Bill Lee, Chief Massey, and we met a few times because we had to look at the law very closely. This does not affect the offenders that are living there currently. If they are established there, we cannot kick them out. Okay, that's where they live. It will affect the new offenders that move into the city. Okay, and there's an attached map. Basically, everything in white is where they can live. Okay, and everything in color are the restricted zones. Yeah, it's only for offenders that have done a crime to a child 14 years old or younger. So it does not include everyone, and that's what the state law gives us. So
this is as much as we can do.
this is as
according
much
to
as we
state
can
law.
do. This is as much as we can do, and it does, like I said, it will restrict where they live. So.
I hear you.
Are there any questions, comments? You can come right up to the podium.
I'm astounded.
Come on up to the podium because we can get your mic.
You're saying that this is a state law.
Yes.
Well, then what can we do about it? Because
Well,
15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, women
unfortunately,
are vulnerable.
we can't go on the witch hunt and kick people out of their homes. If they're established there, they are grandfathered.
No, but I want to know why it's less than 14 years of age. What about 15, 16, 17-year-olds?
That is a question for the state.
For whom? Because I think something has to be done. This is a dangerous thing. I've already spoken about this and, at the last meeting, and our children are the victims, and they're not getting as much help as the sex offender is, and I really think we have to do something about this.
I know Representative Longstaff is here, who would probably be happy to talk with you after.
Can I respond to that though too? I mean, and I certainly understand what you're saying and I agree with you, but, the good news is that we're getting, from the 0 to the 14 kids covered, so far. So this is a really good first step. And if you look at the map, we're not gonna be a very inviting place for the sex offenders anymore because it's not very many places to choose from.
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah, so it's a good first step.
Yeah.
And this will take 2 readings. Obviously, tonight's the first reading, and then the next reading will be at the next city council meeting.
If I could just clarify something, that, so the registrants, the sex offenders are on the registry that this applies to are people who have offended against, who have victims that are 14 years and younger. However, the safe zones are around places that provide services to any child under 18. So you're 15, 16, 17-year-olds.
Yeah, so the high
Okay.
school's included in this,
Yes.
you know, and, you know, so.
Yes.
All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor? And now we are finally to, I'm assuming why most people are here tonight, Resolution 63, 2018.
A resolution providing for appointment of a city councilor of Ward 5. Be it resolved by the city council of the city of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that blank be appointed to fill the vacancy in Ward 5 council seat until the next regularly scheduled municipal election.
So does this get motion to adopt, or do we wait till we fill that in?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I'll give you guys a really brief primer of how we're gonna do this. First, I'm just gonna invite the candidates up. I guess we'll just do alphabetical order. I'll invite them up one at a time. They can have a few minutes to speak to the council and let the council know about their interest in this open position. After that time, we will allow time for public commentary. However, I will be looking for residents from Ward 5 to come up and really limit it to, you know, a minute or so if you could, just to let us know who you are in favor of. After that period is done, the council has a ballot that they will put their name on, and they will make each a selection. Those ballots will go to Patty, and then Patty, when she opens the ballots, will let you know, essentially like a roll call, who the councilors were and what their votes were. And we will have an election, and somebody will be sworn in, I believe, right? If there's a majority, correct. So first, look at the list here. I believe J-Lo, I believe you are.
Oh, that would be me. Hello. I know some of you, I haven't been able to introduce myself to all of you, but I have a small piece here that I'll say, and then I'll open up to any questions you might have. Since announcing my candidacy for city council, I've often been asked, why are you running? That question has a bevy of answers. Some council candidates will tell you they have all the answers to Waterville's problems. Even though you have heard those same voices and answers for years, my answer is simple. I own and operate a business in this town. I own a home in Ward 5, an investment property throughout the city. I have 4 children attending 3 of our schools. I know what it's like to see our tax bills go up every year, our water bills go up. Because of my business experience, I understand that costs do go up. I don't mind paying for services, but when I see our city government continuing to spend with the same practices that have only made our financial situation a continuous problem, it was time. Today is that time. With the support of some people from my ward and others, it's time. Time to send a clear message that it can't be business as usual. We need to put people first and special interests on the back burner. This is our community, and it's a proud community with a lot to offer, and the ability to show our people that there is a better way. Today, it is your turn to show your constituents that we can be united for a common goal, to continue making Waterville a beacon of hope and a hub for the surrounding towns. Any questions? That was easy.
It was easy, wasn't it?
That was quite simple. Thank you.
That's how it's supposed to be. John, you're next. John O'Donnell, excuse me.
Hi, folks. John O'Donnell, resident, homeowner in Ward 5. I was formerly, maybe some of you didn't know, I was on the council before. I've had some experience involved in city politics. But finally, I got done, and I started to enjoy my Tuesday evenings watching the news. CNN, PBS, the NewsHour. And then along about 2 months ago, I got calls from a couple of Democrats in town asking me if I knew anyone in my ward who might want to fill in the vacancy in Ward 5 when Nick had to step down, or whether I might want to step back on board. And I said, well, I really don't know anyone who wants to be a candidate, and personally, I wasn't sure I was ready to jump back into city politics. Anyway, I did say, listen, we'll wait toward the end of the month, and I'll stick my hat in the ring if we don't have other Democrats step forward. Because the reality is, folks, there are some important issues in the city that I'm still very interested in. No one really stepped up, so other than the candidates tonight, so I put my name in the hat. I'm very willing to be the Democratic alternative for this council. If we're going to revitalize this city, folks, one of the things we need are strong schools. We can't lay the burden of our financial crunch on the backs of our students. A revitalized city needs vital schools. People don't come to towns without strong schools. The kids are our future. Secondly, we've got to realize that our city is made up of over 50% of people who don't own their own homes. We've got to step up and provide an association to represent our landowners and our tenants to work together to try to make corrections to our system. There are too many broken down homes and too many bad situations. It's not insidious to get together and work on the issues. It is rather fair and it's right. Third point is, we can't blame this council for the rising tax rates, because clearly we know taxes are rising everywhere. Augusta's talking 5%. Winslow's building a new school. Belgrade's building a new library. Everyone's talking about the increase in tax rates. We can't look at this council. This council is providing essential services which we all need and use every day. We have to look at Augusta. There's a requirement in state law that 5% of state revenue gets shared among municipalities. Unfortunately, the Republican governor has decided that revenue sharing is municipal welfare, and he wants to wipe it out. Fortunately, the legislature still provides at least a third of what the mandatory statute says they should provide, so we're still getting something out of the state, but something in the area of $1.5 million less than what we should be. If we had that $1.5 million in revenue sharing, folks, we could restore our fund balance, which is quickly dissipating. We could make ends meet, and we wouldn't be raising everyone's taxes. We need to take the blame to Augusta and not to a council. So lastly, I'm willing to be an alternative, and I'm standing up here telling you folks this. I'm willing to answer questions, and that's my spiel. Thank you.
Hello, Julian Payne, Ward 5. Well, I was told tonight if I had any chance of getting nominated, I'd have to pull a rabbit out of a hat, so here we go. Maybe 2 rabbits. One of the things I did a few weeks ago, and I started about 3 weeks ago, was walking my ward again so I could have the opportunity to reconnect with residents I'd met in the summer and hear their feedback and concerns.
And then I had the idea of, while I'm doing that, why not ask them the question? As a resident of Ward 5, I'm asking the council to appoint Julian Payne to the Ward 5 council seat in replacement of Nick Champagne. He reflects my values. We endorsed him for school board, and now we endorse him for council. Now, here's a notarized list. I was actually able to get 134 signatures by the residents asking the council to do this. That is an unprecedented amount of support. I can pass that around. I would like it back. It is notarized, so thank you. Now, no matter how things go tonight, it was very touching, and it was a great opportunity to meet all the people that had supported me for school board. I then asked them to write letters, and again, 32 letters flowed in support for me. And getting someone to write a letter is quite a big deal, because anyone can sign a signature just to get rid of you. But a letter is a whole nother story. And I was lucky enough that they took the time to write 32 letters for me. So here's the letters. You can pass them on. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I left my speech at home? No, I'm kidding. So, I'm applying for this position so the residents of Ward 5 get their voice until November. Then they will be given the opportunity to vote. Representation is the basis of government, and I feel more than qualified to represent the residents of Ward 5. I've been to every home in Ward 5 and met and connected with the people, hearing their views and concerns and wishes. Putting the time in has allowed me to collect the valuable feedback needed to serve. The connection started before my campaign. I was out collecting their signatures when they wanted the budget repealed. I've studied the city charter, attended every council and budget meeting, and have paid my dues long before elections came up. The exiting councillor and I have many of the same economic views and a similar approach. I've lived in Waterville nearly all my adult life, 20 of them in the same house in Ward 5. Raised 2 children who attended the Waterville school system, K through 12, and then went to KVC and Thomas College. My wife has served the community working as a nurse at Inland Hospital for many years, and myself working with people with disabilities and as a pediatric ophthalmologist tech. I've taken numerous courses through the University of Oxford, Cambridge, and the University of London, and studied principles of banking at Thomas College. My most relevant recent achievements are being on the school board, and if I talk about that for a little bit, that's the most relevant to a council seat. You know, when I was running for the election, my wife looked to me and said, "Jules, how are you going to work with the school board if you win?" And I looked at her and said, "Easy, no worries." Once I was first elected, I toured every single school. I wanted to hear the principals' concerns, and those have been valuable to me now that I'm working on the budget. I built relationships and connected with people. I attended the school functions, the holiday events, and showed a presence from the board and the tech center event. I delved into the roles and responsibilities, and I worked very closely with the chair, Sylvester, who's here. We have a good relationship. She's charged with keeping me in line. I do meet with her, and everything goes well, and she always says, "Jules, slow down a minute. And I always listen, and we come to a great agreement, and we move forward. And we're lucky to have you as a chair on the board. We worked as a team. One of the first things I did on the school board is we got the webpage redesigned so that it was more user-friendly. I have made insightful suggestions at board meetings,
And the day after the Parkland incident, I was again at the chair's office saying we need to open up our policy, we need a community debate, and we need to be proactive. And a few days after that, everything hit the fan, and we were not behind the 8 ball. That was something I had done as a new member. Just last week, I worked with some other board members, and we delayed our presentation to the council because I didn't feel we were prepared and that we had signed off on the budget. So through teamwork, we were able as a school board to take the budget back and own it, and when we do come to the council, we will be prepared. I'm a detailed person who tries to get all the information and has a different perspective on issues, having lived and worked in the UK, Canada, and the US. I have a different out-of-the-box approach to things. I represented the Ward 5 with the budget repeal. Now, at the time it was labeled we were anti this or anti that, but there was many factors that came to the budget repeal. A long delay in reevaluation was a problem. But I believed it was a democratic value to lower taxes because the people in my ward had trouble staying in their homes, they had trouble with heating bills, and they would like the money to even be able to buy a gift for a grandchild. That was a democratic value. But my very first council meeting, I stood up here and said, we cannot be higher than our highest competitor for a mill rate or we cripple ourselves. And now the mill rate, we've lowered it, 25, 23. It was held with the mayor, the council, and citizens getting together. I believe the real estate boom that is out there now and our competitiveness and the fact that homes are booming and sales, that is obviously because Colby's involvement, national economic factors, but I definitely believe the mill rate plays a part in that. We worked hard to have a debate on conflict. I know it was tough. Council didn't always see it, but the community saw it. And now when you come to a council meeting, you can hear people saying, is there any conflict? We look good as a community because of that. I consider my greatest achievement to be my marriage of 26 years. My wife might not agree, but this shows I have the ability to compromise and work with others. I'm asking the council to play by the same rules they use when filling the Ward 6 seat. Listening to the will of the people, taking note of the letters the ward sent in is how Dr. Tate got on the seat as well. The residents must have faith in government, that their voices are being heard, that they come here today having written letters and signed their names to be heard. This is what preserves democracy, faith in being heard. Thank you, and I ask everyone who came for me today, if I do have a chance to say one line, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Lauren first.
Julian, you went to every house. That's great. You
Yep.
knocked on every door. And how many signatures did you get?
There's 143, I believe.
Okay, so that's about somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 4.
Counselor, I think he means over the
registered.
course of his last.
That was the previous election.
I see.
Yeah, I visited all 700 homes 3 times. This really, after a couple weeks, I was caught up. No, I would not run the same campaign I ran the first time. I really went back to favorite special people that I'd met on the campaign, friends and neighbors, and it was an opportunity to chat and reconnect. So no, it definitely wasn't this time. It wouldn't have been, I probably would have had a lot more signatures.
I see. Well, but that is about 1 in 5 of the registered voters in your ward who signed. Thank you.
Yeah, 134 signatures. Thank you. Yep.
This is getting belligerent. Mr. Thibodeau, why don't you come on up? Julian will have Dustin.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Mayor, if I can make a point, rather than have individuals go up and speak at the podium, you have a large crowd here, hot. Why not just have the people stand for each of the 3 candidates?
That is an idea we could do if the council sees fit after we let, I appreciate the input. We'll let
Dusty.
Our fourth and final candidate.
There you go. Everybody knows me as Dusty. I've been here all my life for 67 years. I worked for the city of Waterville over 40 years. And with a lady that's concerned about her children, about child molesters, we make sure that there's no child molesters around when we drop the kids off. I mean, the little ones, we make sure that they go into the house and they're safe. We got them with our lives, believe me. My boss is a good boss. He tells me, he says, Dusty, nobody home, child comes back home on the bus. So he's safe. And the child molesters move around. 1 week they're over here, next month they're over there. And we keep track on them. But so far, we've done very well. The only other thing is that, I thought I'd ask, why doesn't the city lease the land or rent the land instead of selling it? So that way you could collect rent payments, and when they make a building on it, you can collect taxes. You know, like Mr. Rosenthal does. Like the Young Plaza, that's all leased land. He owns it, makes money. The city of Waterville could make money that way. Just an idea. I was brought up poor, and I was always told to save for a rainy day and make things last. And so far, I'm still surviving. And I like the city of Waterville. Otherwise than that, I wouldn't be here. That's about it.
Great. Any questions of the council, Dusty? Thank you, Dusty.
Beautiful. I'm off easy.
So a lot of people, how many people here would actually like to get up to the podium and speak? Because if a few people want to get up and speak, I think you guys all came out tonight, we should let you do that. But we also can do a show of hands afterwards, because I realize there's a lot of people who also don't want to get up and speak, and that will make things move along fast. So if we want to have a couple of people from the public come on up, you can start coming up.
Hello, Gary Mayhew, Ward 5. A little over a year ago, we were in the same situation, only it was with Councilor Winifred Tate. A handful of people showed up to support Councilor Tate, and a few emails as well. I only ask that the same standards that were used to appoint Winifred Tate are applied tonight. Mr. Payne came here with over 130 signatures from residents from Ward 5. That is unprecedented and shows his motivation and passion for the city. In addition, about 30 emails. Where are the other emails and petitions from the other candidates? And I'm not downing them. I'm just showing that shows his passion and commitment to the city, and I encourage you to appoint Mr. Payne. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandy Sullivan, a resident of Ward 5. I had a whole long speech written, but seeing that you give me only a minute,
A minute or two, you can take a couple minutes.
I just want to impress on the council that in most elections, I get to evaluate who is running, and I get to cast my vote. This time, you guys are having to do that for me. And so, I just would like you to consider a couple of things. One of them being integrity. We expect a person representing us to have integrity in all matters concerning the city. For instance, if a councilor meets with his constituents regarding an issue that is of concern to those constituents and gives his word that he'll do his best to be of assistance, we expect exactly that. We don't necessarily mean we want a guaranteed result. We just want that counselor to work for us and not for his own agenda. We want someone who truly wants to represent the ward, not someone who is doing it by default. I went to the budget meeting on March 27th. There were 2 people in the audience. That was myself and Julian. None of the other candidates were there. The budget is a huge part of what this council does. Julian has been at every budget meeting. He has been at every council meeting. He has been prepared. I might say, in some cases, more prepared than some of the councilors. We want to know that whoever is doing this is because they want to do it. I wouldn't even consider someone who is doing this just because they're interested in the position as a spoiler. I want someone in that seat who is interested in me and who is interested in all of these people from Ward 5. And that's it, Nick.
Thank you, Sandy. Linda, you were next.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll just start with that. This is not my typical audience. If you put me in a room of preschoolers or in a special education meeting, I'm not nervous. So I'm a little bit nervous here because I've never been to this meeting.
Don't be.
I was not surprised when Jay let me know that he was running. Jay is my ex-husband and the father of my children, and I'm here supporting him tonight as my friend. And I believe that he is the person for the job, and I knew that from the moment I met him. So I'm in support of Jay. Thank you.
Russell Nutt, Ward 5. I didn't even realize that there were 4 candidates who were interested in the seat until I read the article in the Morning Sentinel. I have been available 4 days of the week and have seen 1 of the 4 candidates, which would clearly indicate to me that there is only 1 candidate who has the dedication, the passion, and is willing to take the time to meet with the residents of Ward 5 to acquire the seat on the council at your forbearance. And it would seem obvious from the reactions I'm seeing from the crowd here that there is a groundswell of support for only 1 of the 4 candidates. One problem we have in Augusta right now is that our legislators think they know better than the electorate in terms of what they have been doing recently. I would ask the council's wisdom in not following that path.
Anybody else like to speak? And I will do upon report.
Hi, I'm Dan Anderson from Ward 5. I support Julian Payne. For one thing, he came to my house and talked to me and listened to me. He seems to have a lot of the values that Nick had, and as I would like to see someone with the same values take his place, and we can deal with a chance to turn things over at the next election. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello. My name is Christine Lucier, and I'm Paul's wife. He would be here, but he's extremely sick with the flu, and he didn't want to share it with you, so he sent me instead. Yeah. Julian is a well-versed man and goes to all relevant meetings. He has adjusted his lifestyle to be a dedicated and nurturing parent. We've been able to observe him in strange situations. We like his ability to maintain an open mind until he's had a chance to study the matter in depth. As a resident of Ward 5 myself, and others who couldn't be here because of illness and the flu respectively, ask that you appoint him to the currently vacant Ward 5 seat. Thank you for your time.
All right, so So in order to keep this meeting moving, as I promised our chair I would, I will just ask for a quick show of hands if you are a resident of Ward 5. If you are here in support of Mr. Chalo, please raise your hand. Mr. O'Donnell? Julian Payne? And Dusty Tipton. Okay, that gives us the flavor. I will now ask the council to please remember to write your name and the vote, and those will then be forwarded to the clerk, who will read them.
Are they all here?
Like he went to every house.
Take that.
He got 135 signatures. And Matthew had 546 that didn't vote for him.
Okay, Patty, if you could please read the votes by the name of the councilor first, and then who they voted for second.
Jackie Dupont, John O'Donnell.
Can't hear her.
It was Jackie Dupont, John O'Donnell. Winifred Tate, John O'Donnell. Sidney Mayhew, Julian Payne. Steve Soul, J. Coelho. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Everybody does.
Lauren Lessing, John O'Donnell. Nathaniel White, John O'Donnell. So that's 4 votes in favor of O'Donnell, 1 for Julian, and 1 for Jay.
People have no say.
That's right.
Excuse me? Can I just thank the people for coming, all of them, and I would ask that everyone who came here for me tonight to walk out of this room now in support of a room that doesn't uphold the people's democratic will. Everyone leave.
Thank you. Could you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, John O'Donnell,
I, John O'Donnell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge,
that I will faithfully discharge,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
the duties incumbent upon me
the duties incumbent upon me
as a city councillor
as a city councillor
for Ward 5
for Ward 5
for the city of Waterville.
for the city of Waterville.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Amen. Thank you. Move to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Manager's report.
Yeah,
There's a manager's report?
I'm okay. I don't have to.